Hello, everyone, and welcome to Geeks with Wives. This is episode 138. We're going to be discussing all things E3. A little bit of 2013 E3, a little bit of 2014 E3, and possibly beyond. Who knows where we're going to take this. Joining me this evening, well, first of all, I'm your host, Kenney. And joining me this evening, we have Cam.
Greetings, glad to be back.
Very glad to have you back, Cam. It's been so long. I haven't been able to argue with anyone lately about Nintendo. Andrew doesn't put up much of a fight. And we've also got Tommy.
How's it going?
It is going well, Tommy. How are you?
I'm excellent.
Now, you've been on the show before, haven't you? Some people might think you're a new face, but you've been on the show.
Yeah, I was back, I think early May of last year with Blue Key Games. Talk about a game we came up with. Called Happiness back then.
Very good.
Still available through a download link you can find on Twitter soon.
There it is. We're not above shameless plugs, Tommy. You can totally.
Okay, yeah, no, you can play it now. It's right from our site at bluekeygames.com. Go
Awesome.
there, check it out. It's
Awesome.
Free,
well,
full game.
No more talking about it.
We'll definitely be tweeting that out later on, so look for that. Stay tuned, and so Tommy, so this is the ultimate, this is the ultimate happiness, right? Before you were just a guest, and now you're an aspiring regular.
I guess so. Yeah, no, I have an article coming out, I think this week too. Yeah, so this.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, big time now.
He's certainly made it to the big time, folks. And by the way, little secret, don't tell Tommy, you can too. If you are interested in contributing to geekswithwives.com, contact myself or any of the geeks, and we'll definitely put you in touch with the appropriate editor. But first, let's talk about what we're playing. So, Cam, your triumphant return, I will bow down and yield way to you. Tell us, what are you playing? You've been gone for so long. You must have been playing something.
Yeah, well, that's probably one of the reasons I wasn't here in the last 2 months, because I wasn't really playing a lot. I went through Portal 2 again. Phenomenal game. It's one of my all-time favorites. It's hilarious, and it's smart, and it's adventurous. So, but more recently, I played the Stanley Parable. Have you guys heard of that?
No.
Okay.
I have heard of it, but refresh my memory. Tell me and Tommy what it's about.
It's an indie game. It's an extremely unique gaming experience. It's meta. It's existential. It makes you think about the choices you're making in games and in life, if I may. It's a little bit short. I've put about 2 hours into it, and I think I've seen all there is to see in the game. But it's the kind where you can get to the end of the run. The end of the game or the end of your experience in the game may end up in one of several different ways, and then you'll start again, and maybe this time will be a little bit different, or maybe this time it makes different choices. But there's several choices throughout the game. You can go through the door on your left or the door on your right, and the game will hint to you or just flat out tell you where they want you to go, and then you can decide if you're going to go with what the game says or against what really the narrator says. And eventually, they take you through a series of decisions where it becomes apparent that the choices you make don't matter, or it becomes apparent that why are you playing this, or why are you in the job that you're in if you hate it, why do you live the life that you lead, is someone pulling the puppet strings of your life, things like that. It's a very unique game. I'm glad that I played it. As a guy who probably spends $10 on and expecting like a full campaign, I would say that getting 2 hours out of a $15 game is not my expectation, but I did get it on sale, and so I think I paid about $6 for it, and not for the length, but for the unique experience, I think it was well worth it. I would recommend someone spend 2 hours of their life playing the game. It was very unique, and I liked kind of the different directions they took and the things that they made you think about.
So you said it makes you question things that you're doing in your life, the decisions you make, maybe the career path you've chosen. What if you're already questioning those things? Will it help you get the answers you need or find you more disheveled and confused?
Yeah, you'd probably jump off the cliff after that, so I would stay away from it.
All
Sorry
right.
you're going through that, Kenny.
Well, I will not be picking up the Stanley Parable, but I suggest that if you are living in a world of happiness, plug Tommy, that you check out the Stanley Parable to maybe question every bit of that happiness you have.
Yeah, and wait for the Steam Summer Sale, because that's got to be around the corner, and it's going to be like $1, right? It's going to be $1. It's been out a year. It's going to be $1.
So 50 cents an hour, is it worth 50 cents an hour?
Yeah, and that's the thing is, the games that I play, I'm a really cheap guy, but it really isn't the money these days. Like, is this game worth $60? It really isn't that. Is it worth me spending an hour a night for the next month and a half playing this game? So with the Stanley Parable, that question is really easy to answer because it's only 2 hours long, and I would say yes, go for it.
I understand that line of thinking. I'm kind of running into the same problem now that I have an 8-month-old, and there
Yep.
might be times where I pick up a game on release day, but I might not get to touch it until it's already received a price drop. So it really makes me think.
Yeah, games in the shrink wrap that I never played, that made me think about things too. I'm a much more selective gamer these days.
Yes, yes. Well, there certainly is quite a selection at the video game buffet line these days, and Stanley Parable seems like one I will be staying away from. But Tommy, have you been playing Stanley Parable?
I have not. I've been
Okay,
playing,
then what have you been playing?
I just picked up Octodad Deadliest Catch on my PlayStation. I haven't had much time put into it yet, but I've liked what I played so far. It's pretty funny. Have either of you played it?
No, but I was really curious about that. I don't remember why I was curious. Was it on sale? Was it on the PlayStation 3 for sale? I forget what it was, or was there a demo? Anyway, I looked at it and I thought, oh, I wonder if I should play that game. Is it on PC also?
Yeah, it was on PC. I think it came
Okay,
out a while ago on PC. It just came to
that's
PS4.
why. That's why I was interested. So, what is this game all about? Because a game like Octodad, you look at it, you look at the title, you look at the cover art. This doesn't seem like a game I would play, but tell us more about it.
Uh, well, it's a game where you're a father who just happens to be just happens to be an octopus, and
Okay.
I haven't got
Good
far
enough.
enough into the game. It seems it's like a simulation of life so far, except that you're an octopus. So, like, you start off, and the controls are really difficult. Like, you use the right thumbstick to control your right hand, and the left does your left hand, and you walk with your the shoulder triggers. So like moving around's really awkward, but I mean that's like the whole point of the game. So you start off waking up, I don't know, with your alarm clock going off, and you just get up, go to the kitchen, and have to make coffee. But like you can't control your limbs well, so you just start knocking stuff over, and like you have
Mhm.
to pour your daughter, a glass of milk, and of course the milk goes all over the counter. I mean it's a lot
I,
like
I,
real life,
I see the
where
draw immediately. I don't know why we're all
yeah.
not playing this.
Yeah. So your
It's
kids
The
are
Sims with terrible controls, and you're an octopus.
well, yeah.
Perfect.
That's what makes the game is that you're an octopus. You think it would be easier with 8 arms, but it's definitely not.
Why am I playing this game if I'm you?
I don't. So far, like I said, like I haven't got too far into it. Like what really got me to play the game was the I thought the trailer looked really interesting. The trailer made me laugh a few times. The theme song's really catchy, and it seemed like as you got like halfway through the trailer, it kind of seemed like a touching game in a way. Like it seemed kind of like something you'd see more as like I don't know, like a TV show or a movie than you would a video game. So
You
that's what
really
kind of
felt for you really felt for the
yeah,
octopus.
yeah,
You
yeah. It
got it.
looks like a butcher, someone that owns a restaurant comes after the octopus. You go to to the aquarium with your family, and I guess you go missing. I don't know. I haven't got to that point yet, but
He's
it
just got
seemed
so many arms.
it seemed like a pretty funny game. So that's the main reason I picked it up, and it's only $14, so you can't really go wrong there.
All right.
Funny seems to be the word that's thrown around quite a bit when I hear this game discussed. And you definitely have to be in a comical mindset, I assume, to play it, since it really doesn't have, in my understanding, too much more appeal other than its humor.
Is that
Yeah,
just
no.
your understanding from hearing Tommy, or is that the critical reception you've heard?
That's the critical reception. I mean, that's what the Greg Millers and the everybody else who talks about
Okay.
it.
Because if I went funny, I'm going to go watch An Idiot Abroad or something, right? I'm not going to go pay $14 for a game that has awful controls.
I guess it depends on how funny. Because if you think about it, like Portal 2 was fun, but I really enjoyed the humor of Portal 2,
The humor
probably
was
more than the controls.
the humor was icing on the cake.
See, I feel like the humor was the cake, and then the game was the icing. But
Game was
I agree
so
with you that it
good.
was, huh?
The game was so good.
But as a whole, I think it was very good.
There's
It
also
was
a,
anyway.
there's also a small difference of like the game's controls are meant to be difficult, so they're not frustrating in like a way like you got like a poorly designed game. Like it's not like you're playing a game that you're like, oh, why this should be working, or you're fuddling around with the controls, and like you can't like do certain things. Like that's like the whole objective of the game. Like they give you like these menial tasks, and it's difficult because you're an octopus trying to make
Okay.
coffee or pour milk. So I mean,
That's better. That's
yeah.
better
So
than
it's frustrating in like I guess like in a puzzle kind of way.
Yeah, how do I get all of these arms around this treadmill?
Yeah, because like the objectives they give you are pretty simple. It's like walk to the kitchen or
Can you ink someone?
well, when you bump into stuff, you start inking. I've played for probably like a half hour, 45 minutes. I haven't really got anywhere yet, but from what I've seen in the preview and gathered in the game, like you're just doing household chores like mowing the lawn and taking the kids out, and it's
Do you have
very
legs?
yes, that's what you use the shoulder control, the shoulder buttons for. So you're doing R2 and L2 controls his right and left legs, and you're pressing that, and he's kind of like sticking to stuff, and stuff's
All right.
falling over. Yeah, you have to check it out. It's pretty good.
I'll try the demo.
That's one of those games where I'd want a demo, but I feel like once I played the demo, I've seen pretty much everything that it's going to
Yeah,
be.
right now I'm kind of worried.
Again.
Right now I'm kind of worried that like the demo would have been sufficient. Um,
Yeah.
Like I'm wondering if like I'm like, oh, this is fun for an hour, and then I'm gonna be upset that I spent $14 on this game, like 2 or 3 hours in.
It's like you see the trailer for a Will Ferrell movie, and then you go spend $12 on tickets, and you're like, well, all the funny parts were in the trailer.
Yes, it could be like that.
Precisely. So that's Octodad. Cam's short review, Will Ferrell movie.
There you go.
Well, maybe once you play it, or even the demo, you can come back and tell us a little bit more. Again, I think I'm probably going to be taking a miss on that one. Like I said, Cam, having a kid and life, I tell you what, that makes you a very selective gamer.
Yeah, you gotta make hard choices.
I did. It was there. Yes, there are hard choices, and one of those hard choices was whether or not to pick up Wolfenstein: The New Order, and I did. And we talked about that a little bit last week. I've since completed the game, and I'm actually on my second playthrough. And I'm kind of glad. This was a tough decision because I was sitting here thinking to myself, do I wait for Diablo 4 on the PlayStation 4? Do I hang in there? There's definitely stuff I could be playing until then. Or do I pick up Wolfenstein and just enjoy myself? And I decided to pick up Wolfenstein, and you know what? I've been enjoying myself. And I certainly would recommend it to people who are interested in first-person shooters that are driven by a story, so something similar to Bioshock Infinite. Hey, a year ago. That's what got me here, I guess. Debating that with Joe. Although, unlike Bioshock Infinite, Joe is actually liking Wolfenstein. I don't feel like it's very deep. It certainly isn't anything more than you are B.J. Blazkowicz and you are going to be killing Nazis.
Can we call them Nazis from here on out?
Killing Nazis. I totally prepped for that game by watching Inglourious Basterds.
Yeah.
And it was in fact glorious.
Good.
And so, anyways, I don't feel like anything in particular is done revolutionary in the game. If you can look past the fact that B.J. Blazkowicz is actually a character and not just a meathead, doing the whole eyebrow thing and bleeding while killing Nazis. But I feel like the whole game in and of itself, though, is very well done. So again, not revolutionary, just good.
Would you call it a run-of-the-mill shooter?
I I wouldn't call it a run-of-the-mill shooter because I guess in the same fashion that like BioShock Infinite, for example, I'll throw back to that. We saw everything virtually, with the exception of the skyhook, but okay, everything else we've seen in a BioShock game. We saw the plasmids or the tonics. The shooting was very similar, and really, quite honestly, even the story was just as deep as we expected from the BioShock team. But I feel like that calling that a run-of-the-mill shooter wouldn't exactly do it justice, and I feel like Wolfenstein's kind of the same way. I feel like a run-of-the-mill shooter would have everything done appropriately, but nothing done particularly well. So a jack of all trades, but a master of none. I feel like Wolfenstein isn't necessarily a master of everything, but I feel like the shooting mechanics are solid. I feel like the story is above average, and I feel graphically like it looks next generation on my PS4. I haven't had any technical difficulties with the game whatsoever, so I haven't had any. I've had a little bit of texture pop in, but that's more a product of the engine than anything. And if you've played Rage, you come to understand id Tech 5 is going to have that pop in. But anyways, I don't feel like it certainly isn't. It certainly isn't as bad as you might think it would be. Staring dollars or $20, I'm gonna pick it up. I don't know if it's worth $60 to everybody. It was worth $60 to me, but I would definitely suggest giving it a chance if you are a first-person shooter with a story lover. So if you're a COD guy, don't pick it up. Probably not gonna like it. But
I think I understand what you mean, because like in BioShock Infinite, the shooting mechanics were very run-of-the-mill, but the story and some of the other things and the characters and the storytelling I thought had more of an artisan quality. You know what's interesting, though, is how you look at the world 25 years ago when Wolfenstein 3D came out, and the whole image was Blazkowicz being like, bring him on, and very meathead, and that was the whole idea. And now how much more we expect, like, oh, he's such a meathead. Like it's a negative that he's all just like, oh, bring it on, I just want to kill Nazis. It's funny that you make a serious Sam character, and they're superficial, and they're not appealing, but back then they were very appealing. That was, you don't want your lead character to be a thinking man, you want him to be a killing machine. So it's funny how the expectations of gamers and the taste, not even the expectations, but the tastes have really changed.
Well, see, and I'm not sure you could do that with Serious Sam or with Duke Nukem, for example. You could not take his character and put him in Wolfenstein. B.J. Blazkowicz, or your average Space Marine from Doom, they were a blank slate. They were a face that raised eyebrows. They didn't really, aside from, in Wolfenstein, spoilers, at the end of the level, the whole, yeah! Other than that, there was nothing else. And so in that regard, I feel like it could have gone either way with it. They could have made him a Duke Nukem character, and in some aspects he is. And there are times in the game where he talks under his breath almost, just to the character, to the player, and you're like, but it's kind of a funny situation. I just think overall the game was well done. It has a high polish to it, and I've been enjoying my time with it certainly. So that is what I have been playing. Now, moving on to talk about what I want to see myself playing, and that would be discussing games at E3. So E3 is soon upon us, and we're going to be seeing a deluge of titles before our very eyes, some of which will certainly make us feel immediate need to buy them, and some of them will make us really, really hate the developers who might have ruined a series for us or what have you. So let's talk a little bit about what we're interested in seeing at E3, and I'm going to start actually this time with Tommy, if you don't mind. And Tommy, what you've done a little bit of research. What do you want to see at E3?
Mostly, I'm looking for. I want to see something new from Uncharted 4. I know they released the teaser trailer to it a little while back.
Most teasing of any teaser ever.
Yeah.
Here's a scroll.
but the I mean, the game looked pretty great on PlayStation 3, and I bought PlayStation 4 to stay with Naughty Dog.
I think everybody did.
So I really want to see what they're gonna do for me, staying with the platform and staying with them. So I'm really hoping to see. I don't mind if the game doesn't come out next year, but I want to see some promise from them. I mean,
that would be exciting. I do hope they show something. When the PS4 was coming out, somebody texts me, one of my friends that isn't into video games real hardcore, and they're like, "Hey, should I get a PS4 or an Xbox One?" And I'm like, "Well, now we were just coming off of Last of Us." I'm like, "Well, if you like Naughty Dog games, you got to get a PS4 because you can only get those on PS4. But if you like Halo games, you can only get those on Xbox." So the thing is, the Naughty Dog game, the Uncharted or whatever maybe they'll make a Last of Us first, right? Because Uncharted is I think it's a long ways away, and I'm not even sure they are going to have anything at E3. So am I going to get a PS4 anytime soon? I don't know, because is there going to be a Naughty Dog game anytime soon? I don't know. So maybe they show a pre-rendered trailer or something like that. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see any gameplay footage.
So two things real quick. Let me jump in here real quick. IGN has confirmed that Uncharted 4 will be at E3. Now, take that for what it's worth. But in the past, these lists have been pretty.
It was at E3 in quotes last year, right?
Yes, and this year it's not. It's confirmed. Now, obviously, they have an asterisk next to it, and it's. Oh, wait. IGN has confirmed with the publisher that this game will appear at E3 in some form. Okay, not necessarily playable. So, I guess take it for what it's worth, but we're going to see something from the Naughty Dog camp.
I look forward to seeing whatever they have. But, last year they basically had a big banner that said, "We're making an Uncharted game, duh."
True.
So now, hopefully it's something more than that.
I won't bring up. Well, actually, I'm going to bring up, but we're not going to talk about it too much. Now, you did say, Naughty Dog on the PS4, and we are going to get that this summer in the form of The Last of Us, perfect platinum cherry red HD remix edition. But but Tommy, what about the recent and kind of recent, that's in quotations, but the departures from Naughty Dog? Does that have you scared at all?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean. The Last of Us kind of gave Naughty Dog some leeway with me. I mean, but a lot of the charm of the Uncharted series is, and I'm kind of speaking from a writer's standpoint here. There's a lot of charm of the series comes from Amy Hennig's writing, like the relationships between the characters and the banter and the back and forth. Especially on Uncharted 2, is probably among my favorite written games. It had the perfect kind of cinema feel, with the humor and the jokes. Everything kind of worked, and I'm kind of worried with new people coming in and maybe new writers that instead of taking their own approach to it, they might start emulating past styles, and that doesn't seem to work all that well. But I have a lot of faith in Naughty Dog, and I think they're going to take their time with it. I think it's going to end up being good. I can't say that I'm not a little bit nervous, because a big part of why I like the series, is walking out the door. So
it's always sad when good people leave a great studio. I think the best studios, though, are able to maintain a culture where the best people want to work there, so they keep making great games even when people leave. And then the other good thing is, somebody really good leaves a really good studio, they go somewhere else, and they probably make really good games. So there are certainly cases where you look at the departures from Rare, and then Rare just tanked, and Retro Studios, and there hasn't been anything close to Metroid Prime since then from Retro, in my opinion. You look at the guys that left the Medal of Honor series and went and did Call of Duty. So a lot of times those developers go somewhere else because they see a different opportunity to make an experience that maybe the current studio isn't allowing you to make. So in some ways it's disappointing, but it can also be exciting because what are they going to go do somewhere else?
Now,
oh, did we lose Kenny? Oh.
I think so.
Kenny, are
Hello?
you with us? All right, you're back.
yeah, sorry. I never
okay.
lost myself, at least. I think I know where I've been this whole time. Anyways, Amy Hennig, now she went to Visceral, did she not, to work on their Star Wars project?
Yes.
That's got to be exciting, right?
That is going to be
Oh,
exciting. I'm not gonna suggest that this is one of my two excited titles, or titles that I'm excited for at E3, but wow. Visceral, Star Wars, Amy Hennig, done. Closed book.
Yeah.
So, speaking of Star Wars, Tommy, what else are you looking forward to at E3?
I'm also looking forward toward Star Wars Battlefront. I mean, I haven't really gave the game a huge look, but I enjoyed the previous ones.
Yeah, there's not a lot to look at, I don't think.
Yeah,
yet.
no, I know.
Hadn't they just gotten the Star Wars license right before last year's E3, so they kind of had like 10 seconds of, we're making Star Wars, duh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's about it. But I mean, I don't know. I like the older ones. I had a lot of fun playing them, playing with my friends. So I'm looking forward to playing this when it comes out. So I'm kind of hoping to see something.
Yeah,
Very
I'm
good.
excited to see. I mean, and I don't exactly know how the relationship goes, but Disney now owns the rights to Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious what they allow to be done with the license that maybe before Lucas wouldn't allow. So who knows? Could be good, could be worse, or could be better. But maybe we'll get some more interesting experiences than we've had in the past.
I know Lucas has some. I mean, I'm not gonna pretend like I know a ton about Star Wars, but I know Lucas has some leeway with. I mean, he retains the rights of stuff that happened within his movies, so you can't
Okay.
alter stuff that happens within his own universe. But outside's free reign. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, it's not exactly like that, but from what I read, that's kind of how I understood it.
Cool. Yeah, that's going to be cool. Hopefully we get to see something good.
Well, very good, very good. Those are two definitely exciting titles, especially Uncharted for me. Loved the other ones. Looking forward to 4, even with the departures. I'm still interested in seeing what Naughty Dog can put out. So last Thursday, we tweeted out to see what some of our readers were interested in seeing at E3, and I'm just going to read a couple here. Throughout our projection or our interesting titles. So at Ed_Pool, he commented, even though unlikely, he would like to see Fallout 4.
Yes.
Wow. I would probably have to clear my schedule. I'd have to take vacation after that launched. Because a next gen Fallout 4 would just be amazing. Amazing. So, Tommy, you said yes. Cam, would you be excited for Fallout?
I've never played a Fallout game. Sorry. They look cool.
You should
They're
apologize.
RPGs with shooting things in them?
Well, that's a
FPS?
topic for another show entirely, but needless to
If
say,
I
they're pretty cheap right now, so you should
Okay.
totally pick them up.
I just recently played that one RPG shooter, third-person shooter from EA, that one Mass Effect series. Is it anything like that?
Nothing whatsoever. Some people compared it to the Elder Scrolls series simply because Bethesda, clearly. But
Is
if
it like
you go back,
F-Zero? Because those are fun games.
F-Zero, yeah, it's totally like that. So if you like F-Zero, go play Fallout 4. That's a Geeks with Wives guarantee right there. So obviously Cam is not interested in hearing what
just recommending the best games for you.
Cam's not interested in what at Ed_Pool has to say apparently, but
No.
I'm interested in what Cam has to say. So Cam, what are you
Half-Life
looking forward
3. Just kidding.
to?
So
Are you confirming that?
You know, you say that, and unfortunately, that was going to be my next segue. Was at Jar of Comics tweeted, even though unlikely, Half-Life 3.
I'm gonna go follow him right now at Jar of Comics.
Yep. Have you
Now,
seen what is it? Is Half-Life out yet, or is Half-Life
I think I
announced?
have seen that. Yeah.
And they tweet every day, no, or some
No.
variants of that.
Yeah, there's some pretty funny variations. It's been a few months since I've looked at it, but no, I mean obviously that would be fun. But I don't even know if anyone. I don't know if there's a team at Valve right now working on Half-Life 3. I don't
Okay.
even know that. So
Now,
I've put it out of my mind. What am I actually looking forward to? Number one, I really hope we see more of the Zelda game. I hope it's coming along. I don't know when it's coming, but for Wii U, that Zelda, the little teaser they did last year got me excited. And I'll tell you, Mario Kart 8 isn't something that will sell a system to me. Smash Brothers, same thing, because I like the original too much, or the GameCube version. And but Zelda is a game that would sell a system for me, and I know it would sell a system for you too, Kenny. So a solid Zelda.
a solid Zelda would
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
eat my words and force myself to buy a Wii U.
Yeah, and then the other thing, which I'm sad that it got pushed back, but the Division looked really phenomenal to me last year. The little bit that we got to see, but it was in game. It looked like it was far along, and then they pushed it back. I'd love to see more of the Division.
I was very excited about the Division when I first saw it as well, and unfortunately, prior to this show, I had totally forgotten about it, and that's probably due to it being pushed back, which seems like a very common thing right now with a lot of the titles. Now, I'm all for pushing a game back, releasing it when it's ready, not necessarily hyper patching a game. Like, for example, I never played Uncharted 3 with the accurate shooting mechanics. I beat the game, they patched it, I haven't got. The Division definitely struck home for me because it looks so cool. So I'm right there with you. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, and the interaction with the was it a Surface tablet or was it any kind of tablet? You could join in even if you're not on a console. That looked interesting if they do it right. I love kind of tactical shooters, something a little bit more in depth than Counter-Strike, a little more deep than Counter-Strike is. Looks like it could be really good team-based play.
Totally agree there. Very, very interested to learn more. Very interested to see more. Is it the Snowdrop engine? I believe, right?
No idea.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Some of the effects they're doing with snow accumulation and water accumulation are pretty astounding, and very interested in seeing that game as it comes out.
Great. Kenny, how about you? What are you looking forward to?
Well, I'll tell you in just 2 seconds, because since you stole Half-Life 3 from at Jar of whatever he is, Jar of Comics, I was gonna say that you obviously haven't seen the articles that have launched that have said that apparently Min Gooseman Lee or Lay, the co-creator of Counter-Strike, apparently in an interview suggested that Half-Life 3 is in development.
He doesn't know anything. He's working on his own game, and it looks terrible. This is the guy that, he's I don't think he's ever worked for Valve, and he knows as much as you do. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, if he's a total idiot, I hope I know more than him. But anyway, so
I
that
shouldn't speak without reading those articles.
Gooseman, your game is crap, and Half-Life 3 isn't in
Game
development.
looked awful, and I'm sorry because he did really well with. I understand that he and Cliff, I forget the guy's name, made Counter-Strike, and now Jess Cliff is working at Valve, and he has for the last 10, 15 years, and Min Lee is not, and he's off making a terrible game by himself. He did a demo. I don't even know if he got into E3. I saw him in like one of the little booths in the basement, I think, when they happened to wander around. I think the cameraman got lost. I was like, oh, hey, aren't you the guy that made Counter-Strike? He's like, yeah, I'm making a game. Check it out. I'm like, oh, yeah, this looks like a fun shooter. Anyway, I got to get back upstairs. So anyway. Sorry. I love Counter-Strike, by the way.
Half-Life 3 Would be amazing. Not going to buy a Steam box for it. Might buy a Wii U for a Zelda. But the two games that I'm most excited to see at E3, one of them might not even come out. The first one, though, is Mass Effect 4. I would love to see something new from BioWare on Mass Effect. I know we're going to see Dragon Age, and that is down on my list. But I want to see a Mass Effect. I'm actually considering going back and replaying through the trilogy as soon as I platinum Wolfenstein. I haven't done so on the PS3. I've done it on the 360. So interested in going back and being a trophy fanatic with those three games. Platinum the second one.
What are they going to do with the Mass Effect? Like, it's over, right? The world pretty much ended for most people.
Well, right? I think that depends entirely on... No, the world... Well, okay. I don't believe the world ended, the universe ended for anybody, no matter what button you push. Spoilers.
My world was over.
Was it? Well, no.
Burned to the ground.
No. Okay, now that's the funny thing is apparently Shepard can even resurrect a second time or what have you, because that's not canon. Now your Shepard died twice then in Mass Effect 2. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's what happened.
All right. Anyways, well, obviously Shepard is gone. There is no more Shepard. They've said that Shepard's story is done, no matter how you end it. And so, obviously there's different paths they could take here, and I'm very interested to see how they could play out. So we'll see.
They had so many options with your Shepard character last time, male, female, the kinds of relationships that is very progressive. I'm looking forward to a transgendered Shepard, if that's possible. Sorry, just kidding.
So I see you're taking the course of the gaming media there, the games media, which has been up in arms about everything you want to be and more. Now here's my 2 cents on it, since you bring it up. And if you're listening to this, you obviously care about our 2 cents, so you're going to get it. Why do we necessarily need a transgender or a gay character in video games as long as they're a quality character that I want to play?
I don't care.
Then you shouldn't have brought it up, Cam.
Yeah, I was just trying to make an offhand joke to make people laugh.
No, you shouldn't have done it.
I didn't want to get deep about characters and whether they like men or women.
Well, I tell you what you can do. If you don't like yourself or any of the life choices you've made, you can go play the Stanley Parable and question all of those life choices, or you can just cover everything else up with a mask. And that is the second game I'm very interested in seeing, Majora's Mask for the 3DS. Now, I know it's probably not going to be shown, but damn you, Nintendo, for not showing it. Because I would buy that day one, and I've already got a 3DS. And I've been looking for a reason to pick up the stupid, uncomfortable little console, and this would be the perfect reason to do so. Shots fired, Cam.
Hey,
what you going to do?
Number one, you can play Majora's Mask today, right?
I don't want to play it on the Wii. It looks awful.
All right, fine.
I want to play it remastered on my 3DS.
That's fine. I don't know why that would be a gripe. But anyway, they are doing a 90-minute press conference dedicated, or a video stream, whatever, dedicated to one game, and they haven't announced what game it is. Is it going to be Majora's Mask? Is there 90 minutes of Majora's Mask content? Probably not, because no one probably wants that as badly as you do, Kenny. But you got any idea what game they might be talking about? What would they talk about?
Zelda.
No, it's a 3D. It's a new 3DS game. 90 minutes.
A new 3DS game. Tamagotchi Life.
Who knows? It's probably going to be Skylanders. I don't know.
Tamagotchi Life. Tamagotchi. T-Life.
Probably.
The game that doesn't allow transgender and gay marriage, apparently. There you go. See, look at that. It's everywhere, Cam.
But do you know what, Kenny? What I'm really looking forward to this E3?
What are you looking forward to, Cam?
I'm looking forward to some truths. And last year, I don't really feel like I got a lot of truths. And I know that's not the same opinion that you guys probably have, but of the big games we saw Titanfall, we saw Second Son, Watch Dogs, and those were kind of the ones they led with the next generation, right? If we look back at last E3, I'm sitting here, I don't have a next-gen console. I don't feel like I have a reason to get a next-gen console, and those games aren't doing it for me. Certainly not for system sellers. I didn't like the last Infamous game, so I'm not surprised that I am not drawn to Second Son. Titanfall looks like something that I would have a blast with for about 4 hours and never play it again. And now Watch Dogs has come out, and it looks like a fun little game, but not the exciting epic that they had touted it in last year's conference. What do you guys think?
Really, just to jump in quickly, I suppose Watch Dogs does look disappointing in my opinion, but then again, Watch Dogs never looked good in my opinion. So there's that. Now, Infamous, I really enjoyed Second Son, and I really hated Infamous original. Actually, that's pretty well documented on Twitter. You should go check that out. I'm pretty sure I got crucified like 3 times over for saying that. But Infamous 1...
I'm there with you. It didn't impress me. Number 1 didn't impress me.
Infamous 2 was better, and I just didn't ever really play it because I'm kind of a chronological guy. But anyway, Second Son wasn't bad, but to be perfectly honest with you, I'm questioning why it's still under my PS4. I platinumed the game, and I have no intention of going back to it, period. So I guess that's not really a lasting impression. And then Titanfall. Yeah, well, it didn't cause me to buy an Xbox One yet, so can't really say that it was a success either.
I played it a little bit, and it was neat for a shooter, but it's not a game that I'm going to go get an Xbox One for, and I'm not even going to get it on PC. I might get it on PC on a Steam Summer Sale 3 years from now when it's $4.99 and nobody's playing it anymore, just to kind of play around with it.
Is that really saying a lot, though?
I understand, but if there was a nice in-depth campaign for me to play it through the first time, then I would probably go out and I probably would spend more money on it. But I don't know. There's nothing compelling me in this next generation. I finally played that. Was it Resogun? I played a demo of it. That was a fun little game. That was probably the best next-gen game so far. Are you satisfied with your PS4, or are you as excited about it now as a year ago when you heard about it at E3?
Well, of course not. At least, no.
It's like relationship? You're in the honeymoon phase, and then you get to real life, and you're like, "Why haven't you done the dishes yet? I told you I wanted to do the dishes."
I mean, when I got my PS4, I mainly got it because of circumstances. I was like at a point where if I didn't buy it when I bought it, I would have to wait a few years. So I kind of jumped and got it knowing that I wouldn't have any games to play for a couple of years. I mean,
that's good.
Having said that, I'm kind of disappointed with what's out, but it's kind of what I've expected. So, I'm kind of looking forward to what's coming down the road a little bit more.
How far down the road?
I'm hoping this holiday season. I would like to see a good couple of games come out. I don't know, maybe like in the summer, and then if the holiday Christmas is when I'm kind of hoping that like some good titles come out. I don't want to wait too much longer than that. But I got Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes. I know that's out for other systems, but I really wanted to play it on a next gen because I'm a big Metal Gear Solid fan, so I wanted to play it like on the most current gaming system, and with everything that comes with. I know that game was really short, and it didn't take it too long to beat it, but I felt real happy having that rather than feeling, the feeling of what if, like, if I played it on PlayStation 3 or, an Xbox 360, I'd be wondering what the next-gen systems have that I'm kind of missing out on if I was playing it on last gen. So in that regard, I was kind of happy that I had PS4 for that.
That's cool. That's nice. It's just, if I look at the current gen or next gen or whatever we're calling it now, the thing that probably makes me go, oh, I really want to go get that console because I can't play those games on my current hardware are Mario and Mario Kart. Those are that's why I feel like Nintendo almost has the best base to work with. And why obviously sales are not great, and they don't have the pizzazz and the flash, but I think if they come through with a strong E3, they may finally convince some people. And I also think it's time for PS4 and Xbox One to put up or shut up, because so far I have heard a lot of promises, but I haven't seen a lot of deliveries.
See, but your problem, well, it's not your problem. Your situation is such that my problem is.
Oh no, we may never hear Kenny's problem. His problem is that he hates Nintendo, and that's how it's always been.
Yeah, it is. I absolutely hate Nintendo. I hate Nintendo for not selling me on their stuff, because I know it's good sometimes, but lately it's just a bunch of whatever. So regardless, I don't have a gaming PC. So if I want to experience anything better than PlayStation 3, I have to go to next gen. And for me, $400 for a potential decade of console gaming makes so much more sense than even, I know, not buying a gaming PC for $1,000 or so expensive. But regardless, the want to upgrade is going to be there. Whereas with the PlayStation 4, they're going to keep milking every resource out of it until they get to The Last of Us of the PlayStation 4. And The Last of Us look good. I can go play another game on my PS3 that's using that engine, and I'd be satisfied, I suppose.
That's fine. I just haven't seen a case to upgrade yet, I guess.
Well,
And
the case to upgrade is,
you-
I mean, I'm playing games right now that are out on 2 generations of hardware. Wolfenstein came out on last gen and current gen. And Assassin's Creed came out on last gen and current gen. And like you said, Metal Gear Solid came out on last gen and current gen. But the fact is that the superior versions are always going to be on next gen. What I would like to see developers start to do is take the bold step in the new direction and stop making games that are multi-generational. Stop putting out Wolfenstein for the 360 and the Xbox One. Just launch on the One. Just do it.
Well, that's what you want because you're an early adopter, but it would kill their sales, right? They spent all this time developing this story, these characters, these mechanics, and it's so easy for them to just downgrade the textures and port a few things. A little harder for PS4 to PS3, but it's so easy for them to reuse all of these technical and non-technical assets that they've built and open them up to millions and millions of more consumers. So you just want that so that you can say, haha, I have an Xbox One. And more people would buy an Xbox One or a PS4, but it wouldn't make sense sales-wise to spend all that money and then not have a huge user base. I don't know. I spent about $800 putting together a PC 7 years ago, and I put about $40 into upgrades every 4 years. And so far, I'm still playing the latest video game. So it's convenient for me to play on PC, and the most unique un-PC experience for me looks like the Wii U, because I'm never going to play a Mario game or a Mario Kart game on a PC. But that's just me. I eventually did buy a PS3. I eventually did acquire a 360, but I haven't seen the urgency to do that yet for the next generation. So hopefully this E3 they will come out with something. Something from Naughty Dog could do it for sure. I don't know what. I'm not really huge on.
Well, but
Xbox
to be fair,
fair,
see that's where you and I differ. I can cross the aisle. To be fair, if they continue to push back these titles, then it is going to hurt next generation gaming consoles.
Yeah.
I mean, when you said, we were talking a little bit before the show, when can we hope to see Uncharted 4? It's a year out at best.
They're selling you on promises, and so far the promises haven't come through for me. Just the few that have come out that looked like they're AAA titles haven't really panned out. And the longer they let me wait, the more appealing a Wii U looks, to be honest.
See, and the funny thing is, well, and the reason, I don't know. See, the longer I wait on the Wii U, the less appealing it looks to me. And apparently the less appealing it looks to everyone else, because there's quite a few people out there who study the market far more than I do that say that Nintendo's really going to have to either up their game or ditch it, and they haven't upped their game.
Hey, they will, definitely, and that's what I'm hoping to see at E3. Zelda, but not just that. I am hoping, because I haven't bought a Wii U yet, obviously, but Mario was a big success. Critically, it looks like a very fun game. Mario Kart looks to be also a big success if you look at the early reviews on, like I looked at GameRankings.com, and it's at like 88%, better than the AAA titles that are coming out on other systems. So they absolutely have to up their game. They can't keep doing the same old Mario Party 12 and 13 or whatever. But they do have the ability to do that, and they are starting to slowly build a library that is appealing.
Well, and the other thing that people have to consider is that, okay, so Mario is getting better ratings than the AAA games that are coming out for next-generation gaming consoles, Xbox One and PS4 specifically. The Wii U is a next-generation gaming console. In my opinion, it is. It's the next generation of hardware from Nintendo. Now, Mario Kart 8 might be getting better, higher Metacritic score compared to, anything that's coming out, Infamous or Titanfall or whatever. But the problem is that if the Wii U continues to suffer like it has suffered, no third-party support, very little Nintendo support, and very little movement from Nintendo's camp to support that console, or even make an attempt to support the console, the PS4 is going to be on my shelf for at least 5 more years. I mean, at the very least. The Xbox One, who the hell knows what they're going to do with that, but... and I say that only because they just dropped Kinect, and that's going to be an interesting... interesting statement. I mean, look at where Xbox One was when they announced it, and look at where it is now. It's a very different console. So that's my point.
Tell you,
I don't know where it's
they said the same thing about the N64, how that they needed third-party support. They never got it. They said the thing about the GameCube. The Wii was really the first console that they actually had third-party support. And actually, Nintendo finally came out and said, yeah, we've made a mistake, but the mistake they've said is we haven't convinced the consumer, or we haven't explained to them why this is a good console for them to get. So I think that they realize their faults, and they realize that stuff is getting real now, right? They have to come through with content, and they have to come through with the messaging to the consumer. Now that they recognize that and they're not playing from first place, I think they can be aggressive and come out with some stuff that the other two companies are not willing to take risks on. So I am hoping to see some fun stuff from Nintendo in the future. That's what I want to see, is some experimentation. And Sony is starting to do that, right, with the Morpheus project. Hopefully Nintendo will maybe start to look into something like that. Their R&D team might come up with something original out of need to be aggressive. That's what I'm hoping comes from this Nintendo in a hole that they've dug themselves.
Well, I really hope that all three, the big three, rather, can really bring their A game to this E3. I'm very excited to see what the future of gaming has in store for us gamers, whether it be from Nintendo, Sony, or Microsoft. And I do feel myself eventually owning all three consoles, but I hope that Nintendo can turn it around for their sake and for our sake. So Tommy, I'm going to give you last comment on this topic, and then we'll move on to final thoughts. Do you have anything to add?
What topic is this now? What topic is this?
This is probably a mishmash. Tommy, is there anything you want to comment on in the last
about
7 minutes?
Nintendo or E3 or Morpheus?
A second final thought. Totally up to you.
Go play Happiness.
Yeah, go play Happiness. No, I mean, I want to see some stuff from Nintendo as well. I mean, I feel like Nintendo, the games that I'm excited for, right now I really feel like I'm missing out on Mario Kart 8. And I really wish that I had a Wii U so I could play that game. But that being said, I was also excited for, Mario Kart Wii and Mario Kart Double Dash. I want to see a new franchise that I'm excited about every generation with Nintendo.
Yeah, you say that, but you don't. You don't. Nobody buys new IPs. That rarely ever happens. I will tell you though that the thing that I am disappointed with Nintendo is that they don't seem to get it. Mario Kart, I agree, looks great, but they don't the online. I was reading about the online, and it's horrible to try and get games together with friends. You have to text each other some codes or something. They don't capitalize. They don't get with the times. So I disagree that you want to see a new IP. You just say that you want to see it, but you wouldn't buy it.
I mean,
did you buy Pikmin when it came out?
No.
He doesn't have a Wii U.
That was on GameCube. Nobody bought Pikmin when it came out. I was new IP. Come on. But when Zelda came out and you heard the Conan music and he started coming over the, you're like, yes, that's what I'm talking about, Zelda.
The problem is
People cried over Zelda. People cried.
My
Nobody
next
cried about
generation Zelda experience is going to be envisioned on something that has the hardware of a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One. So I don't know if a new Zelda is even actually going to do anything for me. But since Cameron, you've hijacked Tommy's last comment on this mishmash argument, cat fight of a discussion.
Anything else, Tommy? Bring it on. You got something else to say? What? You don't like Valve?
Cameron's throwing the gloves off.
You want to talk about my mom? Whatever.
Whoa.
Okay. Wow. All right. We're moving this along. I can feel the tension. We're three different time zones, three different men, three different time zones, and I already feel like Cam might stab me in the dark. So let's move on to final thoughts. Of course, do you have any comments on the discussion that we just had? Go ahead and tweet us at Geeks with Wives and let us know whether or not you think Cam is right or wrong, or any of us should die. Of course, death threats for Infamous and me saying that it's terrible. I did get those. So, anyways, final thoughts. Tommy, I will give you your final thoughts, and we do have rebuttal privileges for these final thoughts.
I'm not sure what to have for final thoughts.
All right, I tell you what. I'm sorry, I jumped right into that one. I knew you'd been on the show before, but it's been a year. You're a little rusty.
Yeah, also, when I hear you two talking for long periods of time, I feel like I'm watching one of your podcasts. I forget that I'm participating, so I'm feeling the need to remind myself to step in here.
This happens occasionally with Cam and I. That's why Cam and I on the show is best when Joe is moderating, because he keeps things going. He keeps the pace, and he keeps whoa guys. But all right, so
in the
final
middle,
thoughts.
holding our heads while we're like swiping at each other.
That's true, and sometimes Joe does kind of let us go at it though. So really he kind of works. He works the field.
Everybody loves confrontation.
Hey, confrontation is what makes America. So basically, final thoughts can be about anything. This is a statement or a short blurb about anything, whether it's video game related, life related, anything you want to talk about. And so I'll go ahead and move it over to Cam, and Cam will give us a pristine example, I'm sure, of a final thought.
All right. So I have been on the biggest Disney binge ever, and it started when I went to Disneyland in September. And I've just it's just gained steam. I'm listening to Disney podcasts, and I'm on the Disney Reddit, and I'm watching Disney movies, and I'm watching Disney documentaries. So out of all this, I had the third best idea I've ever had, right next to the Nintendo theme park and transgendered shepherd. The third best idea I've ever had is we use the technology of the Oculus Rift to put a person in Disneyland, okay? You ride all the rides. Okay, you walk around, you can have multiplayer with your friends, you can do all the things you can do in Disneyland, okay? Now, that's where it starts. Where does it go from there, okay, is you could be in Disneyland circa 1960, right, when the park was first open, and you didn't have that many rides, but you could see what it's like, right? You could walk around to the old rides that aren't there anymore, get an idea for what it was like to be there when Disney first started Disneyland. You could maybe even see off in the distance Walt walking away yonder over the horizon, and maybe go up and even talk to him, and he'd give you a handshake and wave. Anyway, I just think this could be the start of something great. If I can convince the people at Disney to make a Disney simulator on the Oculus Rift, you could do Disneyland Tokyo, you could do Disney World, you could do Disney in the 80s and 70s and 60s. It would be fantastic.
Here's the problem, though. Then you wouldn't buy tickets to go see their parks.
People would still, in fact,
it spend money on Dole Whips.
No, it would get people would still have Disney vacations with their families. It would only increase exposure because people would go play it on the Oculus because it'd be one of the few Oculus demos that worked really good. And then they'd be like, oh man, I have to experience this for myself. I had a totally different idea of what Disneyland was. Where the magic happens, or the magical place on Earth, or whatever.
That's a very interesting concept, and I'd be very interested to explore that.
However, you said it. I'm sure it's in production by Disney. Now that you said it over.
I hope so. I'm willing to give that billion-dollar idea away right here on the air to anyone who wants to go out and make a mod of some game on the Oculus that is a Disney simulator. Go ahead. Don't even give me any credit for it. I just want to play it because I want to go to Disneyland.
So you said you've been listening to Disney podcasts. Now I know that you go to Disneyland because you're in California, and that's obvious. But
I'm in Oregon, but I've been a few
excuse
times.
me, West Coast, whatever, California.
West Coast.
People from California are that have money and are retiring in Oregon, right? So that works. People are moving north.
Sure.
Okay. So, but do you listen to, by any chance, Lou Mongello, the WDW radio show?
I actually don't, but I have heard of him.
You should totally check it out.
Wow, I didn't expect you to drop some Disney nerdery on me. I will check it out.
that's a big. My parents are big listeners of Lou Mongello, and they actually ran into him a couple times in Walt Disney World.
Oh, crazy. So I am trying to find the best Disney podcasts to listen to. So the Walt Disney Museum has one, and there's a few that I've listened to and I've stopped listening to. So I will check out the one from Lou
Mongello.
WDW. That's the thing, is it's WDW, so it's Walt Disney World, and I'm looking
Correct.
for things that are more like Disney history and
okay,
Disney.
now that's what I mean. Now I'm a history graduate. We talked about this a little last show, and so that's why I like listening to him. He has his historian podcasts, but he always, he seeps a little bit of history into most everything he talks about. Now, sometimes he talks about Disney as a corporation, sometimes he talks about Walt Disney World, and sometimes he crosses over into the land. So I would just give him a listen.
I will. I want to listen to more WDW podcasts when I get closer to actually going to Disney World, but it's several years out, so I will give it a listen.
Hundreds. So you'll have
cool.
to start soon. Cool. Anyways, very good. All right, look at that. Woo. All right, so Tommy.
Yes.
Now you know how it's done.
I know. I don't know if I can follow that.
Follow that.
You're gonna follow that.
Disney. What?
You're gonna follow that.
All right. Yeah. So lately, I've been working on our new game that's going to be coming out for Blue Key Games. It's going to be called Revelin. The demo of that should be coming out very shortly. I don't have a date yet, unfortunately, but we're kind of coming to the end of the road for the demo. So that's going to be out, I'm hoping, in a month or so, but I hope my game director is not going to get upset that I said that.
Well, hey, when the demo's out, tweet to us, and we'll retweet it so that all the followers can get the link to the demo. Kenny, are you cool with that?
I'm
down
with
want to
that.
speak out of turn. All right.
Because we've been working on the demo for about a year now. I wrote the screenplay. I mean, for anyone that doesn't remember me, which I'm pretty sure it's a lot of people that are listening to this, I am the lead writer. I wrote the screenplay for the game Revelin. So I wrote the entire script for it, and then it's being implemented into the game, which is done by my friend Tim, who is a project director, and we have another person who's going to school for music composition. He's doing the score. The game, and it's an independent game, but it has a retro feel to it. So it's gonna look like a Super Nintendo RPG, Final Fantasy. Blanking on the other names.
Etc.
Yeah, etc.
Chrono Trigger,
yes. So
Chrono Cross.
So it's gonna be. So it looks like that. The demo's coming out very good, so I'm excited for people to see it. It's going to be my first, the first thing that I wrote that's going to be kind of out there for the public, so I'm getting a little bit of stage fright now, but I'm really excited about it, because I think the story came out good, the demo's looking good, so everything looks good for it, so I'm excited for everybody to go and play it when it comes out.
Awesome. Well, yeah, definitely follow Cam's direction there. Make sure you get the link to us, and any one of us can make sure that it gets tweeted out. That way, all of you, the listeners, can take a look at this awesome sounding game. If you're a big fan of throwback SNES RPGs, definitely check it out.
Yeah, we have some information on it. If you go to our website, bluekeygames.com, or if you follow me on Twitter, at Tommy Surratt, you'll see. I periodically post pictures and I talk about it. So you can get the latest.
Very good. Very good. All right. Well, my final thought has kind of evolved into a more sadistic final thought now. So I was thinking about earlier how ironic it would be if Watch Dogs, when you put it in your system or downloaded it to your system, was actually some sort of hacking device that allowed Ubisoft to control your console. How like poetically just that would be, because you're like, oh man, I'm gonna go hack a bunch of people in Chicago, and then Ubisoft's like, no, you're not, and just shuts you down. I would laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be
I'd
fun.
LOL.
Yeah, and it sounds like as long as they controlled your console to put a better quality game in the disk drive, then it might be better off. So, boom.
Hello.
But anyways, it's pretty light final thought this week. Nothing too deep. Anyways, for more sage advice and wisdom, you can follow us on Twitter. I am at Ken Newville. Cam is
At Cletus TSJY, Cletus the slack-jawed yokel.
very good. Very good. Always forget. And Tommy, one more time, where can we find you at Twitter?
At Tommy Surratt, SURETTE.
Very good. And of course, you can follow at Geeks with Wives for all of your latest, greatest. We don't really do news, but we definitely do commentaries on news. We definitely do reviews, previews, and all that good jazz. Definitely go on to Twitter, follow us. We won't leave you wanting. So that's all we have for episode 138 of the Geeks with Wives podcast. Like I said, go ahead and tweet us your thoughts on E3. What are you excited for? What are you not excited for? What are you interested in seeing on your next generation console if you have one? What's going to make you buy one if you don't? And for all the people at Geeks with Wives, this is Kenny, and we're out.